Hello, welcome back to Marriage and Family Life Unscripted. I'm Fallon,
I'm Kevin.
and we are back after a very, very long hiatus. Maybe I shouldn't say hiatus, but it was a long break, and so we apologize for that. Um, Getting back on track, a lot has happened since then. For me personally, it was doing a lot of things in the community, including campaigning for city council. Um, and then right along that time, we got news about my mom getting extremely ill. She had already just been dealing with health issues, but it worsened. And so once that last hospitalization, it just went downhill from that. So um, she went into the hospital, and unfortunately, she didn't come back out. And so that really took a toll on the family. All the dynamics and just dealing with that, because it was a little bit of a surprise. Someone is not well. You just never know when, and it was a long battle. Um, Trying to decide, what to do, the best decisions to make, and discussing that amongst my siblings wasn't the easiest. I don't think it ever is for anybody. And so we had to do all that, and she passed in January, and then we had her service in February. Just kind of really just trying to recoup and get back afloat. So life was definitely lifing.
Mm-hmm.
you know, um,
It was a lot during that time, just going to the hospital and just dealing with the whole thing of just being there and trying to be supportive as much as you can while, having good expectations, even though, God had his plan for how he wanted things to be. So, but Dad, I was here to console and help. I've been through this before twice. Lost both my parents. So this is a tough one, but we are able to get through with the help of God, and just sometimes life experiences can help you cope as well with people that have been through before and able to relate and understand dealing with everything as well. So
yeah, death can bring a lot of questions, and you find yourself going back and thinking about a lot of different things. So we all needed that time to I won't say just heal, because not necessarily there's a time frame to heal completely, but just gather our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and get back into a more solid, better place. And on top of that, we're still doing um, our marriage ministry with our church, and a program had piloted at the church. And once that pilot group went through, we were asked to be a part of the actual implementation of the program at our church. So Kevin and I, we were part of that for like 6 to 8 weeks or so. It's called Reengage. I highly recommend it.
very good.
We were in a group, honestly, with people all different stages of their marriage, all different ages, so different stages and ages. And it was nice because you need that in marriage. You need to be around people who are seasoned in their walk, in their marriage, or in life. People, around where you're at, because then they can, also relate where your current status is, if you will, and just different backgrounds. So we had a very unique group. We all connected very well, but the program is definitely in depth, and it's not really just if you're having marital problems, then you go through this program. Obviously, if you are, it's really great to discuss those topics, because the program, the study guide that you have, is formulated in such a way where, as I like to say, things that could be a very hard topic to talk about, the book, the program, neutralize it and not make it be so challenging or so defensive, if you will, in discussing those things. And I feel like any marriage just needs a checkup and a check in. So it allows that too. So it covers a lot of different topics. And so if you haven't heard about it, I would look into it.
That or
Reengage.org,
mhm.
um, and see where they're holding it at in your local community, um, anywhere. I mean, if you want to travel, if it's not in your city or state, you can travel if that's possible. Um, so yeah, look into that. But it was really, really enlightening. Our leaders that put on the program, I really appreciated how in depth they were. Attention to different details of each couple. They made you
Mhm.
feel like you were the only couple in the class. So they had a good touch, but they were seasoned in this program and coaching and teaching this. And so
13 times.
yeah, 13 times. Yeah. So
The key to the program for me was just um, being honest with yourself. And one of the biggest part of it was in the beginning, they told us, stay in your circle. So, with that, for me personally, it just gave a little bit more free range, so to speak, to kind of fully express yourself, knowing that I don't have to just accept what I said. And it sparked a lot of different conversations. I had to stay in my circle too, not try to say anything, and then we were able to share with our group. And people typically, again, stay in your circle. People won't be able to. You just listen. If you know there was questions, we answered, and it kind of what it does. It also carved out some time for you and your spouse to not just go to the class, but we call it couch time, to
mm-hmm.
kind of sit and go through the lesson together and talk about the questions, and that's where you have to stay in a circle mostly.
Yeah, yeah, couch time was great. Because what it, I won't say forced couples to do, but maybe for some, life obviously can get busy if you have a family and you're working and doing all this kind of stuff. A lot of times we get too busy to just sit down, have intentional quiet time as a husband and wife to talk about different things. Um, we would have couch time, we would have porch time, anyway, just because we talk a lot. And so, um, but it was still nice because as life did get busy for us, this made us be more organized and intentional to
Mhm.
try to get this in and not let a lot of time pass by. But some couples don't. They don't set time aside to do that. It's like maybe some information in passing or you texting or whatever. So um, it caused couples to be still for a little bit and you know go through these
Have a
different
more
questions.
structured
Yeah.
conversation, because they have
Mm-hmm.
very structured questions,
Yeah.
and a lot of it, some of it was spiritual, and then sometimes it was just more personal questions that you answer for yourself pertaining to the question. So everything from spirituality to sexuality,
Mm-hmm.
it covers all spectrum of marriage. So it's really great. I recommend anyone to do it. Um, and if you know, you have to put it work in. Bottom line, just with anything
Mm-hmm.
else, and it's really great.
Yeah. And so if y'all have any questions or you know need more information about that, feel free to reach out to us and we can get that over to you. But yeah, that's kind of our life in a nutshell this past year since we last spoke to you all. Um, but yeah, it's been ongoing, and I really can't believe that a new year is about to begin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say I'm ready. I'm ready for to see all that the new year has to offer. Obviously, we have goals and things that we like to accomplish, achieve, and work on, and that kind of brings me back to another topic we covered some time back in one of our marriage group. It's called a vision retreat, and so it's actually a book by Jimmy Evans. Again, another resource if you haven't heard of him or the book, look it up. It's very good, but it talks about having a vision for your marriage. And so with the new year approaching, a lot of times we set our goals, right? Our health goals or whatever it's going to be for the next year. But how many people actually set their marriage goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's still goals to achieve past getting married. So, whether that looks like, oh, when do we want to start a family, or this business I've been always wanting to do, or maybe somebody wants to go back to college, like all those things. But in that book, and when we actually did the curriculum in our marriage group, it caused people to pause and think about that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I don't know if anyone has ever been to a retreat, a women's retreat, or spiritual retreat, or marriage retreat. Usually, that word alone means, to go away
Mm-hmm.
somewhere and do something. And so this is a little different. You're not necessarily going anywhere with this vision retreat for your marriage, but it's kind of like very similar to reengage. It causes you to sit down and talk as a marriage couple about your marital goals.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we want to do? Where do we want to be in 5 years? You know, and more specifically, how are we gonna work towards that? What are the steps we're gonna take? And um, what Jimmy Evans thinks about, or what caused him to write this book, is because how the Bible talks about, without a vision, my people shall perish. So how do you just keep going on in life and you don't have any scope about where you're going, what you're gonna be doing, right? You just going. I wake up and like, okay, yeah, you know. Um, so we need that, and more specifically, as being a married couple, you should have these plans in order and developing and communicate the strategies that you're going to implement for your marriage. Where, what are the things you want? Maybe it's a big trip. Maybe you've always wanted to go to Europe or something like that and have your anniversary there. Well, plan, save, research. What does that look like? If you have kids, are you taking the kids or are you leaving them? Who's going to watch them? Stuff like that. And spiritually, right? Even though you're as one when you're married, but you're still two individuals that have two different callings, purposes, and things like that in the body of Christ. And so, um, how does that intertwine,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Maybe as a couple, you're called to ministry. What does that look like? How are you going to step out and start doing that? So these are just some things that was laid on our hearts to talk about. With this time, just kind of catch up with you all, but also to just put some things on your mind to just start thinking about as the new year approaches, and start having these conversations with your spouse.
Or if you plan to get married.
You don't have to wait till you get married to start prepping for these things.
Yep.
You build that foundation, that core, so that when you have this strong foundation, you can just start building from that. And having those discussions earlier are even better,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because then you and your spouse will be on future spouse will be on the same page, and y'all be aligning with the same mind frame, so there won't be any surprises, or it's just like this unspoken, unheard of language. Like, what are you talking about? Vision retreat? What are marriage plans? What? Yeah, because it's really not. Certain communities, we don't talk about these things. We don't see those examples. People just doing life however they feel led to. But really, we should have a plan. We do have a purpose, and what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Take some time to think on it and be ready.
Mm-hmm. So that's us for now.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more, and we'll catch up even more soon. Bye.